So in this video, I'm going to be explaining the 7th assignment for Computer Programming 1 Practicum, where we were tasked to make a C program that has a function called user profile, which takes 3 parameters, name, age, and height, and then also a function that will print all of those data in one string. Then afterwards, in the main function, it will ask 3 different data from users, and then it will call the previously mentioned user profile function, so it will print all of the data accordingly. So let me just go into the code. As you can see, first we include the standard input-output library, so we have the functions we need, and then we have void user profile, where we put our function that's not attached to the main function, and it includes 3 parameters which we said earlier: a character string array for name, an integer for age, and float for height, and also a printf function right here, where it will say, hello, name, you're currently 8 years old, and your height is height centimeters. And then, of course, it will read the different variables. So this is our user profile function, which will be called later in the main function. And then we get into our actual main function that will run once we start the code. And then we have the 3 variables. We have a character string for name with a max cap of 50. We have an integer age and a float height. And afterwards, we have a for loop here, where the integer I will start with 1, and then I, or the loop will only go until I reaches 3, because I has to be under or equals 3, and then each time I will increase by 1. And then within the for loop, we have these functions right here. First of all, we have a printf that tells the user to input the data for whichever user. So in this case, as you can see, we also call I here because we want this string to say either user number 1, number 2, or number 3. Of course, we only want to do this 3 times as the task told us to do. So again, this %d will call I, and each time the loop happens, the I increases, right? So it's going to be, again, number 1, number 2, number 3. And continuing on, we have printf name, and then in here it will scan whatever name we input for the character string, and then we have %string. But before it, we have this function right here. This essentially will read the string until it finds a new line, which will make sense a bit later. But we continue on first. We have printf age, and then it will read whatever age we put in as integer. And then we have printf height in centimeters, and it will read whatever height we have in float. And then here we call our function that were previously in void or unattached to the main function. It will call it here with name, age, and height. And then it will print it with \n or new line. So of course it could just print the function itself, but why add a \n or new line is because here, after it prints it, it will add a new line and it will cut off the printing of name essentially. So, and then afterwards, of course, all of these functions have to fit in the loop, so it'll only go until 3, right? And then afterwards, return 0 will indicate whether the program has run successfully. But anyways, enough explaining. Now we can run the code and see if it works. Okay, here we go. It prints, please enter data for user number 1, and then here we can enter the name. For example, first we'll start with the name Bob, for example, age 23, and then height, let's say 175 centimeters. And then as you can see, it'll print, hello Bob, you're currently 23 years old, and your height is 175 centimeters. Let's do a second one. Let's say the name is Alice for this user, age, let's say 19, and then height is 165. And now it will print, hello Alice, you're currently 19 years old, and your height is 165 centimeters. And then we can enter data for user number 3. So let's say his name is Liam, his age is 20, and then his height is, let's say, 180. And now it will print, hello Liam, you're currently 10 years old, and your height is 180 centimeters. And as you can see, after 3 users, it'll stop running the code because we specifically asked that using the for loop. But anyways, that's the code I made for this assignment. Thank you very much.